to One Quick Question with Infomedia, your source for answers to your questions about websites, digital marketing, and more. I'm your host, Carrie Rollwagon, and today we are here with Russell Marbett. Welcome, Russell.
Hello.
So, Russell is a developer at Infomedia, also the owner of Jiu-Jitsu in Avondale, and also my husband. So, triple threat.
Whoa, a lot of accolades there.
Is that what they mean?
Yeah.
So I introduced the jiu-jitsu because that's what we're talking about today. We wanted to kind of do a deep dive into some of the hobbies of people who work here. This is obviously more than a hobby for you, but something that not every client who you work on their website may know about you. But so let's jump in. What is jiu-jitsu?
Well, it's, I guess at a base level, it's a grappling martial art that's basically wrestling and submission base. So it's about control and submissions.
All right. Well, I've heard from you that a lot of developers, programmers actually enjoy jiu-jitsu. Why do you think that overlap exists?
Well, I actually think it's a lot like programming, because what you're really doing when you learn jiu-jitsu is I think one of the closest things I could compare it to would be like learning a language. Like you are learning a language, and once you learn it, you kind of have a superpower in a way, And
I mean, jiu-jitsu actually does look like a lot of what superheroes do on movies. So,
well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes
I
it can
saw
look
somebody
very
do
boring.
an armbar the other day. So
There you go. But like, it's just very technical, and the well runs very deep. And I think it actually relates to programming a lot, because you get better at stuff. When you learn how to program, you do something and you just, it's very rough. It may take you 20 lines of code to accomplish something. And then 5 years down the road, it takes you one line of code to do the same thing as that 20 did 5 years ago. And that's very similar to to jiu-jitsu, because the progress is palpable, and your ability to do things much more elegantly than, your previous self is pretty evident.
yeah. So a lot of careers that people would associate with like a lot of like strategy kind of, or a lot of learning, like
Strategy,
a lot of doctors,
yeah.
lawyers.
There's a lot of doctors, lawyers. I mean, mostly it's just mentally engaging as well. It's not just like a brute activity.
Yeah.
A lot of people call it like human chess,
So are there other, like, I think that is one of the misconceptions about jiu-jitsu, is that people think it is like really aggro and like, I'm gonna like beat you up. Like,
I mean,
is that how people threaten?
Yeah,
I'm gonna beat you up.
I mean, it can be aggro, and at the highest levels, on the competitive scene, it is very aggro, but it's also very technical. I mean, I think the average time it takes to get a black belt, I'm pretty sure it takes way longer to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu than it does any other martial art on the planet. And I think it takes like 10 to 11 years. Mm-hmm. It takes a really long time to get good at, because it's like I said, it's similar to a language. Like you get there and you can't speak a language at all,
Mm-hmm.
The language at all. And then, you're just going to learn a word or some very a basic sentence, or hi, bye. And then you're going to have to start learning syntax and everything. And it takes a long time. Like it would take a really long time to get fluent at like Italian or something.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the same as that, but there's also the physical involved.
That's a similar thing in programming languages too, right? Because you guys know, like, you're literally writing in different languages.
Yeah. I think it's closer to, well, unless you say the ability to communicate with people is a superpower, which I guess in a way you could say it is.
I would say that.
Yeah. if you could
I
go to
like to.
another place
Yeah.
and communicate with people, well, and
Yeah.
express yourself and understand people, that's good. But I think even more in programming, it's like you can do all kinds of things once you learn how to, program. So it's pretty similar to that.
Yeah. Well, are there other misconceptions you think that people have?
I mean, I think they think it's like karate or anything like that, and it's nothing really like that. It's a grappling based art. There's
But
not
sometimes you
striking.
wear the similar outfits.
Yeah, we don't at my school, but
Yeah.
there is two main kind of veins of jujitsu, and one is gi, which is like the kimono, and you can actually use it and manipulate it. Um, and then there's no gi where you don't, and you can't grab the clothes, and
Yeah.
it would be more similar to wrestling, except there's submissions involved.
So if people are picturing that kimono or the what we associate with what you wear to karate, at your school you don't wear that. You just wear like normal clothes, right? Or
Yeah,
like normal workout clothes, like what you'd wear to yoga, kind of,
yeah, similar.
or rash guards or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
generally.
Um. Well, what made you decide to open a gym?
Well, it did a lot for me. So I
Jiu-jitsu,
think,
you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
jujitsu did a lot for me.
Like discipline wise and.
Discipline and just direction and something to do, like
Mhm.
sometimes you're in your mid to late 20s and you're just a little bit listless,
Yeah.
and it just gives it, I mean, discipline's a big part of it, but just having something every day to do was good. And it taught me, it was, it taught me that if you keep at something, you can get better at it. And there's a lot of things that can teach you that, but it's very the feedback is immediate and
Literal. It's also like physical and.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's the other thing with something like jujitsu. It's like learning a language, but the other person's sparring with you. They're not
Yeah.
they're not really trying to help you like figure out where the cafe is,
Yeah.
2 streets down. They're like
Trying to choke
actively
you.
trying
Yeah.
to like tell you it's not that way, it's that way.
Yeah.
Got you,
Yeah.
Anyways, so I just thought it did a lot for me, and I started teaching pretty early as far as like jujitsu, like a year and a half or so in, which isn't super common, but there was kind of an avenue for me to teach, so I took it up, and I just enjoy teaching. I kind of stopped competing a few years ago and really started focusing on like helping other people get better, and I kind of enjoy that.
Honestly, you've kind of done that at Infomedia too. I know, like, you've trained a couple of our interns, and they've had really good feedback um, on your teaching too. So I think
Mhm.
that's maybe another way that it's kind of translated into your work life.
Yeah, I mean, with something that's highly technical, you can't give them everything all at once. You have
Mm.
to learn how to give them enough to like, okay, this is enough. You've learned a little bit, but I'm not like destroying you with details to where you just lose everything. So you kind
Yeah.
of have to like pull people along a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and you also taught a Infomedia only jujitsu class even in the past when we did our health bingo month.
Yeah,
You did that.
yeah.
Like, what were your who's the best? What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny. Like I wouldn't say any one person was the best. Like,
Not me.
yeah,
I'm just
you.
kidding. I
Um,
actually said to Russell, I don't feel like I'm any good. And I think you said, you're no worse than anyone else, which is sort of a
yeah.
positive.
I mean, when people talk about joining, like, and they're worried about looking stupid, I always tell them, like, nobody cares because nobody's good at this when they start. Like, one out of, 100,000 people, like, step on the mat and are like, I'm good at this immediately,
Yeah.
And I didn't have any other, like, I didn't wrestle or,
Yeah.
So it's super rare. So no one is surprised when you're absolutely awful at it
Yeah.
because you're doing it, back to the language analogy, it's like, I'm going to drop you into, Japan and like, you're going to start talking with people.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Yeah.
you're not going to know how to communicate. And
Mhm.
that's just what it is.
So any other thoughts on the Infomedia class?
I think it was good. I think people enjoyed it. I think people always are kind of surprised, I think, by what jujitsu is before they try it. But I think one of the biggest lessons that I tried to impress upon people is, we didn't spar at all. In jujitsu, normally we spar every class. And that's something that makes jujitsu unique, is you can kind of go 100% on a daily basis. And because it's grappling and submissions, you just tap out. You play a little game of like, I choke you, you tap, and we have an agreement we're not going to kill each other or hurt each other, maim each other,
And by sparring, you're like just actually fighting. Like
yeah,
rolling.
but rolling.
Yeah.
So fighting without strikes. Mm-hmm. So we're wrestling each other. We're taking each other down. We're trying to choke each other. We're trying to armbar each other. We're trying to dominate the positions. And there's a lot of smashing. So it's like using your body weight to pressure into someone and make them extremely uncomfortable. Things like that. And we didn't do any of that for the whole month until the very last day, and I had everybody that last day practice what they thought they were best at. And we spent most of the class doing that. And then at the end of the class, I was like, all right, so we're actually going to roll today. You guys are going to roll with me.
And I think what you said is you can go one at a time or you can attack me all at once. There's no difference to me.
I mean, yeah, that was a joke, but I probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I put a mouth guard in too, and everybody's like, ugh. And I'm like, yeah, this is for me. I'm not going to hurt you. You guys will hurt me.
By accident, elbow you.
Yeah, you're going to elbow me in the teeth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. You're safer rolling with me than each other.
Yeah.
But, people had just got done doing these moves like pretty well, for like the last 30, 45 minutes. And as soon as they started rolling and I started to, give them a little pressure and stress, like it all went out the window,
Yeah, your mind goes blank.
Yeah. And so I think that's something to take away,
It was a good team building exercise because everyone else would tell you what to do.
Yeah. Everybody else was
the whole
coaching.
thing was honestly a very good team building exercise. So,
yeah.
All right. So if somebody's listening and they actually want to try Ohm, do they have to pay a bunch to try it? Like, what do they do?
I mean, if they want to pay a bunch, I'll accept it.
Yeah.
But no, I think we're one of the more reasonably priced gyms, maybe the most reasonably priced gyms. We're in Avondale, right next to Orr and Seasick and
Mom's
Sanctum.
Yeah.
Moms, yeah. And so you can just go to ohmjujitsu.com or ohmjujitsu on Instagram, OHM. And we do a free trial. You can try it out for a week, try a couple classes, see if you like it. We have beginners classes. So you don't have to roll initially. You can come, learn a little bit before you get too much pressure put on you. And kind of go at your own pace. But we don't do any sign-up fees. We don't make you sign any contracts. Yeah.
And they can try free class.
They can do a free trial.
Cool. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes too. And I think we've mentioned you on Infomedia's Instagram before, so they can find you.
Love to have you.
Well, One Quick Question is developed and hosted by me, Carrie Rollwagon. Our producer is Elena Harmon. Our theme music is by Brad Davis. And our video and sound engineering are done here at the Infomedia studio. You can find show notes or find out what Infomedia could offer for your website at infomedia.com/quickquestion. And we like to leave you with this thought. A real expert helps to clarify, not confuse. So don't take website advice from someone who can't give you a straight answer.